Welcome to the Tech Today podcast. It's your host, John Mayetta. If you've listened to the podcast or read my writings, you know that I believe that gold is real money. And in Washington, they are arguing over a continuing resolution which would maintain the current pace of fiscal spending through September of 2025. We ran a $1.8 trillion deficit in fiscal 2024. And year-to-date fiscal 2025, which is October of 24 through January. February's data hasn't been published yet, but through January we've run a deficit of $840 billion. So we have Elon Musk and the Doge guys finding, at this point, hundreds of billions in unnecessary spending. As the phrase goes, waste, fraud, and abuse. But we're about to authorize Congress to maintain the current pace of spending. So it's impossible to maintain a standard of living. It's impossible for the dollar to maintain equilibrium in terms of its purchasing power if you continuously run monthly and annual deficits, which only pile on to the already enormous figure of $36 trillion in fiscal debt outstanding. So we either get serious about eliminating fiscal deficits and paying down the debt outstanding, or you'll just continue to see the purchasing power of the dollar erode, frankly, since it's been doing since the Gold Act, which was $17.65, I think, was the original price of gold per ounce. So what we did here in this interactive chart, we built this with the help of Anthropic. We indexed gold at $100. As of Jan 1970, Nixon took us off of the gold standard in August of 71, at which point in time the dollar just precipitously dropped off versus gold. So this top chart is the dollar indexed at 100, and then you can just see we've been floating around, the zero bound, really since 2010, 2015, thereabouts. And so that last percentile, if you will, is just going to slowly erode over time, like the half-life of radioactive material. The bottom chart here plots gold, the price of gold on a monthly basis since 1970. So it's just, really the inverse of the top chart. So as you hear various sides of the continuing resolution argument in D.C., keep this in the back of your mind. The more we spend, the greater the decline of the dollar. So the more gifts that government wants to give, stimulus checks, the Trump dividend, crypto reserves, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, income assistance, all those benefits chip away at the value of the dollar. So the government can give you a handout in the left pocket, but you're going to lose it in the right pocket the more we devalue the dollar through deficit spending. And oh, by the way, those government programs, the two big ones being Social Security and Medicaid, growing at 7 and 9% a year, depending on the year, depending on the program. If you look at the Office of Program Management's budget through 2030, 2035, 2050, kind of high single-digit growth on the two major fiscal expense categories, Social Security, Medicare, and GDP. If you want to believe D.C., they'll tell you it's kind of low single-digit real GDP growth. I believe it's flat to down because CPI is woefully understated. So let's give D.C. the benefit of the doubt and say real GDP is low single-digit percentage growth. Well, it's not even half of the growth of the outlays of those two big categories, for example, which are half of fiscal spending, Social Security and Medicare. So long as those two major categories outpace GDP, so long as they 2x GDP, there is no way we're going to get fiscal spending under control. And short story is the dollar's going to zero, is what's happening and what's been happening for a very long time. That's all for now. See. Oh, by the way, you can check out. We've published this to the web, so you can play with this interactive chart if you like. That's all for now. See you next time.